Okay, let's open the meeting at whatever it is, 4:32. Thank you, Tamika, again, as always.
No problem.
So first order of business on our agenda is April 1st minutes.
Yeah, I'll open them right now. Let's see.
Printing them out right now.
Hurry up. No.
Oh my God.
Attaboy, Franz. Help me out, buddy.
I can't even bring them up, Tamika. I don't know what's going on. It doesn't, it's like in a different form.
Yeah, Jim.
You're trying to do it from your phone, Jim?
Yeah, because I don't have a printer here.
Yeah, for some reason, it doesn't come up on a phone. It only comes up on a desktop.
Okay, well, I guess I'll have to listen to the minutes, son.
Yeah, me too.
And I don't think Franz was at the last meeting, so he'll
No.
probably have to abstain anyways.
Yeah, I wasn't at the last.
Okay, so somebody, motion on the minutes?
Yep, so I'd like to make a correction.
Sure, great.
Under attendance, board members present, I was there.
You sure?
You know, that just shows you what Tamika thinks of you, Bonnie. She didn't call you there or absent. You just don't exist.
I apologize, I'm pulling it up right now so I can fix that.
You know, I'm going to tell you something, Bonnie. Thank you very much. This is the first time ever we have snagged Tamika with a mistake. So, Mark, put that in the minutes, Tamika. Your first mistake ever.
Said I quit.
No.
Okay. Anybody else? Any other thoughts?
Nope.
Okay. Anybody want to make a motion?
I make a motion to accept the minutes of March, or whatever heck it was, March 1st,
April 1st.
April 1st, excuse me.
With
I'll
the,
second that.
I
with
got
that correction of Bonnie in attendance.
with the corrections, correct.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Williams, aye.
So Franz abstained. Everybody else was aye.
Yep.
I have one comment about them. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll wait till we move down to our next order of business. I can, whoops, what'd I do? Uh-oh, where'd you all go?
I can see you.
You can see me, but I can't see anybody.
Trying to enlarge.
So, okay, next order of business is HPD site update. And in kind of as a footnote to that, I had April 21st HPDD review board meeting. So I thought it would be kind of nice and important if, were any of you, I know some of you were all of us at last night's HPDD review board meeting?
I was not.
Okay.
I
So-
was not.
Maybe we could just ask Michelle and Dick, if you would, to just kind of give us a synopsis. I'll give everybody a synopsis of what happened last night.
Oh, everybody had a good time and then went home.
I knew it was going to be something like that.
Really?
There were 7 conditions. And I don't know if you people have got them or not.
Yep.
But
I
we had-
have them.
Well,
We had a very good discussion on them. And I think it went very well.
Dick, if you don't mind, back up. The conditions are for what? Not what are the conditions? What are the conditions attached to?
Well, it says right there, conceptual plan.
Okay. But the people that weren't there don't know that happened. So what happened at last night's meeting, the HPD review board voted to accept the concept plan with certain conditions, which in all honesty, on a conceptual plan, conditions don't really mean much, but it's okay. They're there. Michelle, you got anything you want to add to that?
No, just it was a good discussion. I'm interested in what Tim is upset about.
Yeah, I'm just, we seem to be to be given Harbor Classic Homes. I mean, honestly, they didn't need a vote from the conception plan. If I read the bylaw right, they could have presented it and said, we're moving into engineering. They didn't do that. So, you know, we drug them along for a couple months. I get what we're doing, but, you know, as for conditions, and Mike's right, they really don't mean that much, but the fact that we conditioned them, we talked about roads and things like that, they're all good conversations. I'm just like, we need to move this along. And it seems to be getting hung up, and like they talked about traffic studies. And I'm curious of why that even comes into play. They're private roads. All the roads in Harbor Classic Homes is private. The town's gonna own none of them. So
I think it's a traffic study for what's going to happen on Maple Ave.
Right.
Maple Ave, and also, you know, a lot of them are gonna go through the school, and that's not gonna be right.
but
It's
Yeah.
gonna be a traffic jam. So anyways, that's up to them to come up with the traffic plan rather than the town doing it.
how many traffic studies do we force on our existing builders in town? I mean,
But Tim, it doesn't matter. It's part of the it's part of the RDIC.
it's not in the
rules, like-
bylaw anywhere about traffic studies. It's not called out for traffic studies. It says egress. It doesn't say
Tim,
traffic
we've done it with Blair before.
Yeah, but you know, we didn't do it on the senior living on Main Street, and that's a main dump. And Jim,
No, but I'm pretty sure we did it back in Oakwood Village was done, and probably Maplebrook. Sometimes they did, but coming on their main road, no one really complained about it.
okay, I'm just, it just seems like we keep putting up roadblocks for Harbor Classic Homes, and I'm struggling with that because I
Well,
really.
Tim, hold that thought just for a second.
Okay.
Jim, could the reason they did not ask for it on yours is because it was dumping onto a state road rather than a town road?
Well, I'm thinking that 'cause I had to get my permit from the state, from the Commonwealth probably, so
Probably.
it wasn't like a town permit to come onto the road. It was from the state. So maybe that's why, or nobody complained about it. You know, not really, a lot of butters didn't show up once it was switched to a senior housing, so no one really complained too much. So I don't know.
No, it's a state road. It's different than if it was Dunkin' Donuts, because that's when the town is part owner of that road. Then they have to. That's what
Right.
that.
I interrupted Tim, and Tim, you made a statement that kind of raises the hair in the back of my neck. And that was that you feel as though we're putting all kinds of roadblocks up in front of Harbor Classic Homes. I, on the other hand, have the opposing opinion that Harbor Classic Homes has not come to the table with what they said they were going to, when they said they were going to do it. So I'm frankly significantly agitated with them. So I'd be interested in hearing specifically why, give me the specifics of roadblocks that we put up. Because if you truly believe that, I want to know. And if we then as a board think so, let's do something about it.
Well, I mean, we tell them in one meeting that, you know, emergency access sounds good. The next meeting, we're moving the lot lines and haven't come up with definition of whose road it is. Is it ours? Is it the town's? I mean, those decisions, we've got to make and move forward.
Right, but
Those are huge decisions to make, to be able to move forward, Tim.
Exactly.
Tim,
So let's do it in the engineering phase. Why worry about in the concept phase?
All right, Tim, just hold on one second. The moving of the lot line to the, I guess we'll call it the northeast side of the roadway. In other words, having the town maintain ownership of the roadway. I believe that at the last HPDD review board meeting, that was agreed upon. They agreed to move the lot line to the other side of the road. So I don't even know why that came up last night. It just seemed to me to be, a point that had already been made.
Okay.
The one problem that I had with last night's meeting is I believe that there's been a step back position by the HPDD review board on the requirement of the second access. And I'll go to our minutes, and this is what I talked about last night at the meeting. And if you look on the second page, well, Jim, you don't have them, so I'll read this section. The board then discussed the double barrel roadway that was proposed on the concept plan, and all were comfortable with that because they are common in other subdivisions in town. Tim added that they won't be owned by the town, so the HOA will be responsible for maintaining it. Dick shared that he had spoken with DPW Director Buckley and Dave George, and they intended to ask HCH to extend the double barrel road further into the subdivision. A second egress may be possible by using an existing road, which is a whole nother issue. But I felt last night that the HPDD review board changed courses and went from what they had agreed upon as a double barrel road being an adequate entrance to now, I think what they said last night was, no, it's not. A second means of egress is required. Not would be nice or requested. It's a showstopper if you don't have it, is what I heard last night.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Sure, sure.
It's, and when I got the email, and I got the 7 list that the meeting that the HPD, why, number one, I have a problem. Why even do we need to know this on amenities be included?
Well, Franz, could you just do me a favor? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'd like to let's just deal with this double barrel road thing, and then you can have the floor and talk about all
all
of
right. I thought we've already, okay, go ahead.
So I guess Michelle and Dick, and now I see Doug is on as well. Do you, am I all wet here, or did you guys change directions last night?
I've always been in for the second egress, 100% there. Double
Yeah.
barrel, no, because I've seen some of the other problems we had in town when it gets snowy and everything else with that double barrel stuff, where to push the snow and all. But if you look at the map, if you're living in the bottom half of that thing, you want to drive all the way through the project? Hell no, I want to get the hell out.
No, I'm not debating whether it would be a better project to have a second access. What I'm asking you is, did you a few weeks ago say the double barrel road will work?
I'll go along with it, but it's not my favorite.
Okay, all right, okay. And again, we now are talking about things that should be discussed at the HPDD review board level, not ours. But that to me, Tim, is the only kind of roadblock, if you want to use that term, that I've seen that I would agree to, unless you've got others.
I
And
mean,
then Franz, I'll get right back to you.
Well, that's a roadblock, my question.
Okay.
Go ahead.
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Franz.
No, I have a question. Why do we even need to know this? I mean, I just think it's unnecessary. And if someone can explain that to me, I just think, and when you say roadblock, I just think you're throwing something in with them. There's no need for it.
Specifically, what are you talking about, Franz?
It says on number 1, you have the 7 criteria list here. Am I correct? Is what I'm reading from this? And the first one is amenities to be included and determined at a later date. Why even have that? We don't need to know that.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm in a very awkward position here, and I'm gonna do the best I can to explain it. As part of the RDIC, I am our representative on the negotiating team. So we are having negotiating discussions on all of these subject matters.
I understand.
So some of what was discussed last night was brought up by HCH in the submission that they had given to the negotiating team. And I have not shared that with us, the RDIC, because as part of the negotiating team, I didn't think I could or should. So after it was brought up last night, it now became public. So I said, okay, now at least except for the redaction of the actual pricing where we are, the price point we're at right now, I believe that I could share the document that they presented to us. And what the HPDD review board last night was saying was, yeah, the 142 units, but would like to see walking trails and would like to see all kinds of different things that were included in this document. Dave, I haven't got back to my computer. Did you get that sent?
Yeah, 10 of 4, I received it as are you talking about the 15-page,
Yes.
the PR? I call it a PR.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, Franz. But if,
So
but if
what
you,
I,
if
so
you-
what I did was I just copied page 12 to 14 because of their analysis between 88 and 142 units and the pros and cons. So that's all right.
But if you look at their page 6, it says they're talking about this lifestyle community, and the
Yeah.
bullets that they have there is engaging in events and outings within walking distance, classes and lectures, yoga, cooking, talks on aging, clubhouse facilities for regular activities, common spaces that can be used for events or meeting others, walking paths, fitness opportunities, community gardens, dog parks. These were all things that the HPDD review board, not all of them, but many of them were being brought up. And so the applicant then decided to say, hey, we've already proposed those things. So now, as of this afternoon, I said, you know what, if they did that, I honestly think I'm walking a very fine line sharing that information. So that's why obviously the pricing is redacted, but so it was an attempt to rationalize with the HPD review board and this board the additional investment they're making in the project. I don't know whether that answers.
Well, and I know what you're saying to me. You can't really answer that question. Why? Okay, yeah, you kind of. I understand. You danced. I know. I understand why you're dancing around it.
Well, if there's another question you want to ask me, ask it, and if I can answer it, I will.
Well, I mean, how close are we getting this done? I mean, I think, Tim, what he's alluding to, maybe I'm putting words in everyone else's mouth, but maybe they don't are concerned, but when is this, how close are we, or are we still, what's going on?
I'm going to tell you that if you watched the meeting last night, and I don't mean that to be a knock that you didn't, but if you watched the meeting last night, the attorney for HCH said, I was asked that very question. And I said, look, the negotiations are ongoing. I don't know exactly what I said, but I said, it's not going as quickly and as easily, and it should have happened a number of weeks ago, and I'm not happy about that. Perhaps I should turn to Attorney Campobasso, their attorney, and ask his opinion of that. He then, and anybody else can paraphrase, I'll paraphrase what I think he said, well, look, I believe that we are much closer to a deal than Mike seems to think we are at this moment in time.
Yeah, he did say that.
So what does that mean, Franz? Okay, so just hold that thought for a moment.
Okay.
I then asked him, after we come to agreement on a final number, how soon before a purchase and sale will be signed? And his answer was 7 to 10 days. So I'm going to tell you my goal is to get this done in the next 2 weeks. Done, complete, signed, purchase and sale.
Wow.
But in all honesty,
I know things can happen. So,
it was 3 weeks ago that we had a meeting and we were supposed to have an answer in 2 days.
I know
And
that.
I had to call them 8 days later looking for the answer, and I still don't have it.
Yep.
So,
Checks in the mail.
And Mike, they still haven't gone up there and done any probing yet.
yeah, you're right, Dick, but I'm going to tell you, to me, if they take that 140-page state document, I don't think they have to put a shovel in the ground because it's all there. Every single thing that was left there is there. Everything that was taken out of the ground was there. Everything that's dirty is told. I personally think it's blue herring to hang it on digging in the ground.
Well,
I mean, I've told them that the foundations were taken, whatever, I didn't know exactly, but I said, the foundations are whatever, 5 or 6 feet high in the ground. The concrete floors were crushed and they're still there too. I don't know what else they need to know beyond that. I mean, I told them, I said, look, you go up there with an excavator, and I said, I'll get Dickie Williams or Doug Briggs or myself to go over there, and I'll point to you right where the building was, and you'll hit that foundation within 6 feet of when I tell you to start digging, and you'll see. What's the point?
Okay.
There's
No,
there.
it's up to them. I know.
Absolutely. Now, in all honesty, the attorney has responded that because of financing, in other words, they're going to a bank looking for money to fund this thing, and the banks need, Jim, you could probably describe this better than I, they need this 21E kind of clean site stuff. So that's where it stands.
Don't we have that from the state? No?
They never provided a 21E.
Gotcha.
How long would that take?
Oh, God, I don't know, Franz. I have no idea.
Jim, do you know?
I don't know. They drill, I think they go in and they drill holes in places with the big machines, don't they?
Yeah, I guess so.
I've never had to do it. I don't know.
There's
Anything that says 21E, I walk away from.
Dick, do you know?
there's already test well pipes sitting down at the power plant, and down by where the incinerator was, and places like that.
Which is where the state determined that was the only place they were necessary.
Yeah.
And that was stated in that document, right, Mike? That you just, the state put out 100 and something pages?
Yeah, I honestly, Franz, it's been a long time since I've looked at it, but it's, it was, the cleanup was done by DEP, EPA, and DCAM.
Yeah.
I mean,
Be fine.
it's basically the board that they have to make sure they have a clean site for did the cleanup. So I don't know what else you need beyond that. So that's about all I can tell you on the site, unless anybody's got any other questions.
Yeah, what, any other holdups or hiccups that you can tell us that won't?
Well, no, I'll answer the question clearer than that. There are no other hiccups that I know of. As far as I'm concerned, the only bone of contention right now is a final sell price.
Was final what?
Sell price. So
All right.
purchase price.
Purchase price, yeah.
Okay, good.
That I believe that to be the only unresolved issue.
And
Now, ultimately, it's gonna, there's gonna be probably something between 88 and 142 units to be built, and that'll all have to be worked out as to how that'll, affect costs. But that's the only issue I know. Dave, George, could you offer any other opinion there?
Is he on?
I don't really have much to add at this point. I mean, the concept plan is done. It took a lot of meetings to get to that point. The next step is to get to that next level of engineering, have put together a definitive plan. And hopefully that can be done on a timely basis. I mean, these other things that you're talking about are valid, that we don't have a final price at this point. That's being worked on. Maybe a little bit slower than some of us would like, but it's in progress.
The only other slight snag is the use of the existing roadway and DCR's opinion on whether that's usable to us or not. Every indication I've got is it is going to be allowable. And in talking to someone who's willing to consult for us on that, Jeff Lacey, who I mentioned at our last meeting, he feels as though it's not unreasonable to think that once we ask him to proceed on our behalf, that within perhaps 30 days, we could have a letter stating that that's usable.
Mike, let me ask you a question on that.
Yep.
I heard last night that Peter wanted to take that over and run with it. Are we going to let them do
Well,
that? Or are we, because I didn't get a clear direction from the HPDD is this the town going to handle this road or is the applicant? That's why I was struggling to get that finalization.
I agree with you, Tim. That's exactly what happened last night. Peter did ask for his name so that they could handle that. But then as the discussion went on, I sat thinking about it. And once it became apparent that we all agreed that road should remain town property, I said, why should they be doing it if we can get it done quicker? And it's not only for their use, but our use as well. I'm good. That's one of the reasons I have a call into Peter Campobasso at 9:30 this morning, asking him to call me back, and he has not yet, to discuss that very issue. So one of us is going to do it, and I'm going to push for us to do it.
Is that the RDIC, Mike, working with Chief Buckley to?
I have 2 calls in to Joe Buckley today to discuss that with him, and couldn't get him on either one of those calls, or Nancy was not answering her phone either.
Okay, and again, I'm just trying to make sure that, you know, we get a clear path and we go for it. Because I know, to Peter's comment, this is not something, and Michelle said the same thing, this isn't happening overnight. This is a 3-month process, but.
Well, it's not going to be 3 months.
Okay.
I pretty much got assurance of that today.
Oh, okay, good. I was like, if it's estimated 3 to 6 months, and the only reason I say that is because I know from the planning board what Clee's gone through lately with the DCR, trying to get them to do anything because they're using COVID as their excuse if they can't do any work. So, or they got to postpone everything. So that was my only concern, is let's get it moving. And if the town wants to take the road over and whatever they need to do with the DCR, I'm fine with that. But I don't want to get that stuck in the middle where we can't give an answer if we're talking about a second egress or an emergency exit. We got to just get that resolved.
I'm going to take the path of least resistance.
Okay.
So basically, I was on the phone with Jeff Lacy this morning, talking to him about this very subject. So
okay,
I guess you've heard that I've spent basically all day working on town stuff.
Yeah. So I just called your boss and let him know that.
Well, you're talking to my boss.
Oh, okay. Well, then you're safe.
Franz, you had something?
Yeah, I just had a question to everyone, or to you, Mike. Are there, as it stands now, no questions or issues on Lot 1 or Zone C? Is
No.
that all cleared up? or-
Separate.
That's off the table right now.
But I mean, no other,
They still have expressed interest in doing something retail there, but just to move this project along, this is all we're talking about.
no, I know, but there's nothing there
No.
okay, that's
No.
all I want. All right. that's
Mike,
all.
that's what they're calling phase 2, correct? If I'm not
Yep.
mistaken.
Yeah, I don't know that I've actually heard that correctly, but perhaps Tim.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's on their specs, it is, but
Yeah, okay.
The last question I had is that, well, maybe it's the last one. So their next step, because they need an A&R after they get the negotiations done with you guys on the team, is they're gonna ask for an A&R from the planning board of the back portion of the RDIC for where they're gonna put the duplexes in. Am I correct in that assumption?
Well, I guess I'd ask Dick and Michelle's opinion of that. My understanding was they're going to ask for an A&R off of Rutland Heights Way before it enters the school property. So they're going to ask for an A&R off of that for access to their Lot 1, Lot A, whatever the heck it's called now.
Okay.
You guys agree with that?
Yes.
I think so.
Does that make sense, Tim?
Yeah, I'm fine. I was wondering what their next step, because I know they've got 3. They're gonna work on their engineering plans or their definitive or final, whatever you want to call it. They've got to finish negotiations up with you guys in the negotiating team. And then they got to get an A&R. Those were the 3 top ones that I thought that was up in play right now.
Anybody else? Anything else?
So what are the basic things that we have to get accomplished? The road, the A&R, and then there are a couple of other items that we have.
My opinion, first and foremost, we have to get a purchase and sale agreement signed.
But before that, don't we have to agree with the road?
Well, at the same time, we're going to work on the road.
And I'm about ready to give up on the trees, but personally, I would talk to Peter and ask him, would he like his trees taken down right now?
Well, but Dick, that's, look, I'm with you 100% on the trees. But I don't know how we can ask him to take the trees down until that center lot line is defined. You know, where do they take them down?
Yes, but I mean, does he think he's gonna be making money on it or whatever? But if it doesn't bother him to have them taken down while we still own it, slice it down.
But where? How far down do you go?
Well, you've got the concept plan that we accepted last night.
Right, but there's no dimensions on it on that middle lot line.
Judging by where the road is, you can come up with a buffer zone and be very good about it. But that's all right. Now the heck with it.
I'm all in favor of cutting the trees down by the lake. And if there's a way to do it by utilizing revenue from tree cutting that are going to be cut anyway, then I'm all for it. I'm all for doing it. But how do we determine what the value of the tree cutting is right now? How do you go up there and say to Kurt Leslie or whatever, okay, how much are we going to make in tree cutting?
Price of lumber, it better be a lot.
Good thing.
I could tell you.
But it's, he can tell. But
Well, Dick, all right, look, I'm fine. Why don't you meet with Kurt Leslie up there? Have him give us an estimate of costs. You establish what you think is a reasonable lot line, and come back to us and say, okay, we can make whatever the number is, $10,000, $10 million, and then we'll decide whether that with the money we have in our account is enough, and we'll vote to either do it or not do it.
all right.
You okay with that?
Yeah, I'll give it a whirl.
Anybody else have any problem with that?
No.
My only concern is that if it appears that that's going to happen, don't we still need to do the 3 bid thing again?
Well, that's.
So we'd
a
want to
hurdle.
have that set up. I'm just saying we want to set that up as soon as possible to keep it rolling. That's
Yep.
all.
I mean, Dick, it shouldn't take long to get an idea of that from Kurt, right?
I would say so. It should be a fairly short period.
Okay.
We'll get an estimate from him and then we'll proceed from there.
Okay.
Because RDIC has other properties too that need to have trees cut.
RDIC has other trees. You mean the
Well,
town has other?
We are in charge of Rutland's properties, aren't we?
Oh, that's an interesting.
Yeah, okay, Dick.
All right.
Okay, so just in answer to your question, Michelle, from a timing standpoint, I'm prepared to schedule another meeting of this group. We'll decide together as soon as we're done our discussions here, but I'd like to do it next week with the hopes of being able to say to everybody, okay, look, we've struck a deal. We're getting, $1 bazillion, and here's where we're going.
Yeah.
Mike, and that's a question I wanted to ask you, because Doug brought up, and I know it wasn't the right form to do it, but now it is in ours. The commitment from Harbor Homes, when we understand that most of their money comes after the formal plans approved. But what are they, I guess, putting up for signing a purchase and sale? 20,000, 10,000, a percentage?
Well, my recollection, and I have not looked at it in months and months and months, was that with the purchase and sale comes 10%. Now, that was, I think that's what was written in the draft purchase and sale. The last time I talked to Sharon, who, just so everybody knows, that's the town's attorney with KP Law, she said, Mike, I got to tell you, I don't think you're ever going to get 10%. I didn't say 10%. She must have. So there's going to be some money that will come. I don't know how much it will be.
Uh,
Tim, you sound like you're on the finance committee with these questions you're asking.
Yeah, because I've got people our person on this call that I need to make sure he's still employed.
I'm
So,
with you. I understand.
and part of it is, I mean, I know the town can't touch it until free cash is certified in October, November, but still it's to keep this town running, because if everybody in this call doesn't know, we're in deep doo-doo. I mean, a $500,000 override, part-time firefighters being let go.
Tim, we're getting way away from our subject.
Yeah,
I hear you, and I'm with you.
My point is to what Doug had brought up yesterday. So they will have skin in the game if they put money down as part of the purchase and sale. So that gives me a little bit of confidence that they're actually going to step up and keep going, because they're going to have to put money in for the engineering plans, and that's not going to be a cheap. What's the word I'm looking for? It's not going to be a cheap endeavor.
Yep.
Okay, good enough. Thanks.
Franz, you had a question?
Yeah, I just, and I kind of apologize on this to you, but could you reiterate your worst scenario and best scenario again, as far as time frame, without opening up a can of worms in your negotiation, without letting too much out? I don't know if you can do that again, but if
Well,
you could.
I think I can give you the best case scenario. That would be that we'll have a purchase and sales signed by the end of next week.
Okay,
The worst case scenario,
it falls through.
yeah, it falls through. Yeah, exactly.
That's all. That's all. All right. Thank you.
But in all reality, I'm not a lawyer and I'm not trying to play one. I don't remember how the purchase and sale is written. The deposit that we get, as they do their due diligence, is there ways that we have to give that back? I don't know. We haven't got to that point yet. That's
I know.
lawyer talk going on.
I understand. All right. All right. Thank you.
My short-term goal is to get a purchase and sale signed absolutely immediately if I can, so that it forces all the other dominoes to fall behind it.
That's good. No, one step at a time, but that's a huge step.
Yeah, and as I said earlier, I'm very, very unhappy and disappointed in the progress and the speed at which it hasn't been happening.
Well, that's good to hear, because there are people that are wondering why it's taken so long. So no, that's good. And I understand. All right.
Michelle?
The deposit is non-refundable, I believe, isn't it?
Michelle, I haven't looked at that stuff in so long. I'm leaving that to Sharon and Peter to work out.
Okay.
I think it was the first $10,000 when didn't they give us 10,000 already?
Yeah.
That was non-refundable, I believe,
Yeah.
if I remember reading.
I think you're probably right, Jim. But again, I've
Yeah.
been so wrapped up with all this other stuff. I don't have time or the ability to handle all the details at once.
But
Okay,
also,
fair enough.
the solar gave $10,000 too.
That's correct. One of the problems that's happened is, the much of the money that I don't know what the right term is, been able to garner through that site, not much of it, all of it, other than the money we use to clear the trees, has gone back into the general fund. So that's why, people have, they're worried about how slow it is and everything else, and it's all fine. But the revenue that we have earned is not really being recognized as RDIC money, if you will. And I guess, it's debatable whether it should be, but to your point, Jim, 10 from them, Dick, 10 from solar, 2 parking projects we did with I can't think of the race
thing.
guys. That's another 11,000. So there's, $31,000 right there. That,
Gone.
yep.
Goes fast, doesn't it?
Well, on top of $300,000 that we've earned on the cell tower down on Route 68.
Might drink it all. No, no.
Good thing my wife isn't involved. She'd take it all.
Okay, any other thoughts, comments on the hospital? I'm trying to be as absolutely transparent as I can be. So if you got any questions, I don't want you to leave here not asking. And if anyone is asking you or expressing concerns to you that you want to share with me, I'm happy to try to deal with it.
It all sounds good right now.
I'll just give you an opportunity for a little chuckle. I got a notice from, I think it was from the town clerk's office, saying that whatever, Elizabeth Jehoshaphat called, and their father's grandfather was instrumental in getting the hospitals built in Rutland, and her uncle was part of the was a patient there and had TB and on and on. And she was very upset and very disturbed that they were thinking of tearing down the buildings, and she was willing to make a donation so that wouldn't happen. So I called her back and I left a message a couple of weeks ago, and she called me today as I was leaving Rutland Center to go to Natick, and she had me on the phone probably until 4:95. Well, I got every story from, I mean, she was a very, very interesting person, but I know where her mother was born in Spain and her father was from Portugal. And it was just fascinating. This woman was wanting to make a donation to preserve the buildings that have
Did
been.
you tell they're gone for 20 years?
Well, and if he was at the state sand, they've been gone for 40 years.
Correct. There you go. It was the state sand, not the heights.
Interesting though, go to the website and look, and it says both, but anyway, that's besides the point. So, okay. So Dick, your homework assignment is to do something with trees.
Yep,
All right.
correct.
So that pretty much covers everything I had to discuss tonight. Anybody else have anything to add?
Mike, I just was curious on the wireless. Where's that? Is that still in negotiations with the wireless?
That is still in negotiations. But,
All right.
but on all honesty, Tim, if you're asking the question for the same reason, whatever's going to happen there is going to be so insignificant, it's not even worth talking about.
No, I just wanted to make sure that we got it squared away, because if they're adding an antenna, the town should get something out of it.
Yeah, it's more complicated than that. I've found out since though. So
Okay.
I'm not ready to discuss that yet, but it's still on my radar. That's my other part-time job.
Are we gonna set a time for another
Yeah,
meeting?
I guess, Dick and Tim and Michelle, what are your schedules next week?
Oh, God.
Yeah, I know, that's your bad week,
We
right?
got a huge planning board and all kinds of articles. So Tuesday's I can't do anything on Tuesday.
Okay, so Tuesday's out. How about Wednesday?
I don't think, Dick, we don't have anything on Wednesday, do we?
Not that I know of. Right at the moment, I have nothing on Wednesday, but Thursday, I have 2 Zoom meetings.
Okay, so Thursday's out. So Michelle, can you do a Wednesday?
Yeah.
Is this too early for you, 4:30?
No, I could do 4:30.
Because I mean, we can make it. This is.
No, because it's remote, so I can,
Oh, this
no,
is
it's remote,
Wednesday.
so I'm not racing.
If I do it Wednesday, I have to do it later, like 7 o'clock.
Well, that's fine with me.
Well, is that okay with you? And then I'll find out. Tamika, do you know whether we can do a meeting at 7 o'clock on Wednesday?
Yeah, I can double check the Zoom accounts, but I don't know of anything major happening then.
Well, with your pull, I'm sure you could make it happen anyway.
Oh, yeah, I'll make it happen.
Poor Tamika, I pick on her all the time.
So Wednesday, the 28th at 7?
If Tamika says yes.
Okay.
And I'm anticipating I'll have more to talk that I'm able to talk about on Wednesday. If for some reason or other I don't, I'll just, we'll send out a notice saying, hey, the meeting is canceled. And we'll, have to
Postpone it.
reschedule perhaps to the following.
Yeah, Tamika, right now, there's not one meeting on the 28th. It's a free and clear day on the calendar.
Yep, I just went into Zoom and double checked and we have availability. We can do that.
Tim, do you expect me to believe you knew that before Tamika did? Not a
Yeah, I did,
chance.
actually.
Not a chance.
I got 3 computers here I'm running.
All right, let's shoot for 7:00 on Wednesday, and I will do my best to accomplish my desired objectives by then. I wish I could commit to it, but I ain't the only one that's going to be cooperating.
Mike, I guess this is more of a question. I had a tough time reading Peter and Kent's body language, but I got a nonchalant, we'll get to it. Is that what you're getting in the negotiations too?
Are you talking about from Ken or Peter?
Both.
Ken is motivated to get it done and answer questions. Peter, I'm getting the nonchalant from, and I'm struggling with that because Dave and I had a talk earlier about this. I agree with him. I would have expected a more aggressive stance to try to get this done so they can get shovels in the ground and start construction in the spring. And I don't get that feeling from it.
Not gonna happen this year.
I can tell you, I have had this very discussion with Peter. I've gotten to know him pretty well, and he is not the obstacle at this point in time.
Good enough. That's all I need to know. Okay. Thanks.
Okay, see you all Wednesday at 7 unless otherwise.
Great.
Okey dokey.
Thank you very much for coming.
Do we need to
and,
have a motion to adjourn?
Oh, yeah.
A motion to adjourn?
So moved.
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Yes, Tamika.